CEO and founder of Visual Marketing and Design. And today we are live inside of our weekly Q&A session where all of our members can join us. If you are a member, you can click the link in the description, get logged into the resource area and join us. I'm super excited to have Paulson Thomas, the man himself here, who is the Director of Business Development with HighLevel. So definitely get logged in, pick his brain for sure. Before I start picking Paulson's brain here, I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get logged in. First, you can definitely go to, like I said, there should be a link somewhere around this video for you to get logged in. You can also go to bridgetbartlett.com, go to the events calendar here. And then you'll just want to go to the day that we're on right here, and you can get logged into the Zoom meeting. Okay, you can also, once you do that, you'll see when you get logged in here that here is the Zoom. Okay, so you just want to click there in your resource area. All right, so hopefully everyone gets logged in. We admit some more people. So thank you so much for joining me, Paulson. We've been Facebook friends for a while. And of course, I've stalked all your videos and everything. And I am so impressed. Actually, you were one of the first people who impressed me with HighLevel because you can tell by the value that you give in interviews and in the videos that you have lots of really good experience. So it's kind of like when you're trying to decide to join a company, you want to see, okay, if they're a marketing company, their marketing better be on point. And I just was super impressed by like the education that you provide, like I said, the experience and all of that. So I know everyone's really excited to have you here. So before we start taking questions and all of that, do you want to kind of give everyone an overview of your experience and how you even joined HighLevel?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all, Bridget. And I've met you when you first started, and I saw you kind of just evolve into really a huge resource in the HighLevel community. So we appreciate you doing everything you're doing and being one of the top players in the space and, contributing quite a bit. I'm sure there's a lot of things people can learn from you as well at this point. And, my experience with HighLevel, I would say, is unique in a sense of how I found HighLevel, my bridge into it. But before all of that, just a quick background. I'm based out of Houston. I was in radiology in the medical space prior to entrepreneurship. And, right out of high school, that's pretty much what I did. Went straight into the medical program for radiology and worked in about 4 or 5 years of level 1 trauma training, and I ran a pretty big ER with Lifelight, and I mean, have a lot of experience in a very young age, but I felt very unsatisfied in the sense, like I felt empty in my career track, even though I was making good money. I had all these titles. I was like 22, 23 years old running a level 1 trauma. Like it's, you think you hit the goals, and after you hit the goals, it's like, oh, that was it kind of thing. And those goals were set by other people in my culture, family, parents, everybody else. And I realized the goals weren't built by me. And early on, I realized I had a weird spirit around entrepreneurship. Didn't know what to do about it. So, you do the standard Dave Ramsey books and find guys like Gary Vee and start following all these random videos. And then you're like, oh, honey, I'm going to quit my career and start this digital online business. And we're going to have clients next week, by the way, don't worry. And I quit during my 2-week notice. In the middle of it is when I first told my wife that I actually quit my career. And I don't recommend anybody doing that. You want to get the approval way before, early in our marriage, by the way. So this was not a good recipe. A little bit later, I would say this is 2014. So 2014, 2015 is when I met Robin Alex. Robin Alex is one of the co-founders of HighLevel. And early on, he was working at a IT consulting firm while launching his agency all at the same time. So he would have an office while working his job and had ad buyers in the office. So I reach out. Well, back in the day, you didn't have courses like that are like legit. You had to literally meet agency owners and you would have to like offer them some kind of exchange or work for them, or like that was the way you learned, right? You had Dan Henry, you had Billy Jean, you had Ty Lopez, and that was really all there was. Maybe guys like Iman Gadzhi and few people that teach you ads. But back then, middle of 2014, 13, those days, you didn't have a lot of courses. So what I did was to learn was meet agency owners. So like I would spend time with Josh Nelson, Nick Robbins, Dave Thompson, Robin Alex. I would literally Roxanne Ray. I don't know if any of you know these names, but they're all big players now. Back then, they were all a chapter ahead of me in a sense of the agency journey. And those relationships is what brought me into HighLevel, because 2019, by then, myself and Robin Alex had our own independent agencies that were all thriving. And when Robin said, hey, we're thinking about jumping into this thing called HighLevel with these two crazy guys, Sean and Varun, and we think they're doing something interesting. We all ended up shutting our agencies down and going all in on HighLevel and start sharing from all of our agency experiences. And I had two agencies, by the way. The first one was in the dental space, high ticket consulting kind of approach, 5K packages. And then I had an automotive agency, which was a little bit more on the SaaS side. I would say $500 to $1,000 ticket, but all to tell you, I've made a lot of mistakes. So to Bridget's point of like, me, when I share things from practical experiences of all the mistakes we've all made and continue to do so. But I'm excited. I'm happy to help you guys in many ways. I have a lot of insight. In the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of things happen around SaaS. So I can tell you what SaaS offers work and doesn't work and what you should do to launch your SaaS. I can also tell you about affiliate marketing. I can also tell you about onboarding, a lot of different things that, you may have questions on. I'm happy to answer. But Bridget, thanks for my 30-second rundown story of how I got here. Appreciate that.
Oh, it's cool. I think it's so important to understand how people got to where they are, because it's not just about the destination, it's the whole journey that's important. That really helps you get to know people. So what was it? I am, first of all, it's so interesting that we kind of have similar paths, because I was in pharmacy for like 20 years before doing this. And I felt like you. It's like, okay, what do I do now? It's like, I'm in pharmacy. The only other thing that I could do is management. And I am not a fan of managing people. I don't mind projects. I just don't want to be managing. I'd rather just help people and not really like have to like reprimand people and all of that stuff that comes with managing people. So that's really interesting. So before I start taking questions, what was the thing about HighLevel? Was it just the people, or did you see something in the project and what they were creating that was like, oh, this is it?
Yeah, for me, it was really simple. I'm not a techie person at all. So I'm more of a sales oriented guy. I'm more of a conversations person. If you ask me to build out a workflow, like I'll probably lose my head in about 2 hours. Like it's not me. I don't enjoy it at all. I can build something, but I don't enjoy it. I never liked it, because back then you had ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, slide broadcast, and you got to zap all these stuff together and throw in some call rail and hope you throw it all into a Google sheet and show to the customer, knowing that they're not calling any leads. Like that was the state of marketing for like 5 years, So I hated the automation world, and I still don't like the automation world because it's not something I enjoy. Now, I'm the odd duckling inside HighLevel, right? So like I'm a sales oriented guy, and everybody I work with are tech oriented, like geniuses. So you have Sean, Varun, Robin, Shivam, like the entire crew, Chase as well. Like they're all into the tech side. So I'm the outside box thinker that's like, well, it's cool that we have tech, but how are they building their business? What are they doing to get clients? How are customers surviving? Like who's making money? Like I'm a macro thinker, so I struggle in detail. So I've always found business partners that are detailed and micro thinkers. And similarly, if I'm always a sales guy, so I always partner up with tech-oriented people, right? So that's the balance that I've always found, and that's how I build all my businesses. But what is it about HighLevel that brought me on? It's me not being the same duckling in a sense. So it's like when they roll out like a certain feature, Shivam used to be like, oh, let's see if Paulson can figure this out. If Paulson can figure this out, we should be okay. It was like, let's see if this dummy can get through these things, right? And that's the culture that built the balance, right? So, and obviously you have guys like Robin and Sean and Varun who are, really strong, ethical, humble leaders. I mean, those are 9-figure leaders who has no flex in them, and they're just like regular dudes with like no, like they're the most modest people that you'll ever meet that are in some seriously big circles, and I see that every single day. And like it's interesting because the folks that are extremely successful are not that loud, and these guys are really quiet. And it's not because they're choosing to be quiet, that's natively in them. That's just how they are, right? And that culture allows you to thrive. Like, so we all have our own freedom. Of course, there's KPIs and things that we have to meet, but we all have our own freedom and creativity. And that allows us to be very refreshed all the time. We build our own projects. Like, there's no like, go build whatever you want. That's just the mentality we have internally, and that makes HighLevel a special place for someone like me who is an odd duckling.
So I love what you just said about you just don't enjoy the automation part. I love that because I think that there are some people who think that they need to love the automations to be in this industry or this business. So what was it that made you decide, like, I just need to be the sales department. I need to outsource things. What made you decide to do that?
Well, I'm a big believer of not working on your weakness. Like, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't make sense to work on your weakness. And what you want to do is double down on your strengths, right? And the specialist is going to always win versus a generalized person, right? And that was my thought process in entrepreneurship early on. So like, my first dental agency, the very first couple of months, I'm like building out stuff. I'm finding myself drowning in hours of work. And I'm like, wait a minute. If I charge somebody $2,000 for Facebook ads and I'm spending like 20 hours to build this all out, right? And if I charged myself $100, I'm now even, because that's $2,000 of cost that went into building out these Facebook ads. And I started calculating like that, and I realized my business by myself is running on a loss if I actually had to pay myself, right? Of course, I don't have to pay myself, but if I actually did, the cost of having a person like me is too big. So I thought about outsourcing early on, and I found, overseas team members. I found fellow agencies like Robin's agency. Like, I would actually outsource stuff to Robin's agency, and I would find experts that are really good with results. Like, so you have certain players in industries that are really good at results versus anybody else, right? So in my world, there was about 4 or 5 agencies that were extremely good at dental ads. All they did was Invisalign. And I would be like, hey man, can I pay you $2,000 to just for you to show me your strategy? Or can I pay you $500? I'll bring in the customers. And most of them took the $500 because they're like, nobody wants to do sales and marketing for some reason. And I realized that was kind of a rare thing. And what I did was find 2-3 different sourcers for every single project, because you can't depend on one. And like that, I started building a book of business of like 50-60 customers, and I started throwing in different projects. So like my first Trojan horse would be Facebook ads, because that was the big thing right at the time. And this is something that I want to talk about actually today, Bridget, is having a Trojan horse for your SaaS, and I'll create some recommendations. But back then the Trojan horse was like, oh, everybody needed to do something about Facebook ads. Nobody knew what to do about it. It was brand new. Everything was around Google ads. So we lean in with Facebook ads. We know Facebook ads will cancel in 3-4 months, but we stabilize them with YouTube ads and Google ads and SEO. And back then, the game was to get them to SEO, right? Or GMB services or local listings. Because if you can get them to SEO, it's a longer contract. You have 6 months, 12 months versus Facebook ads, they're going to cancel in like 90 days, right? So you look at high churn services, even though they're exciting, and turn them into stabilized contracts. And that's pretty much what I did. And that included like a 5K consulting package. I would fly into their locations and train their staff members, because back then we didn't have Zoom. Believe it or not, we had Skype back then. I don't know if anybody remembers Skype. Nobody even used Skype. We were on the phones, literally on a regular phone call explaining digital services, and that's all you had. But to your question of like, what exactly should we do? Like, I think you should work on your strengths. What are you really good at? Be real about it. Like, some of you will convince ourselves that you're good at sales and tech. And that's an illusion. That's a bias, because that's all we do in the beginning. You think you're good at both because that's all we do. But there is one that you enjoy more, and there's one that you don't like as much. You need to figure that out and fire the other person. Fire the other person as quick as you can, because I promise you the margins are not there. You're just not measuring it typically, right? So I fired that tech-oriented Paulson, in 2014, even with good results. I was cranking out good Invisalign leads, and I'm like, I don't enjoy it. Even though I got results, I need to find somebody else to do that. And if you don't like sales, outsource sales to somebody. Bring in a person on commission-oriented sales. Give them half of the business. You much rather have 50% of the business with no fulfillment and hours behind it versus 100% of the business with all the fulfillment, right? It's better to have half a watermelon versus a full grape. And that's how we feel about our logos. We care a lot about our stupid logos and colors. And we think we're building this massive business that compares to Apple and Samsung and GE. I know it's cool, but having that half a watermelon is a bigger business versus you by yourself doing a lot of the work. But that's really what it is. It's doubling down on your strengths and not working on your weakness.
You just described exactly my journey as well, because I'm always preaching about that. Like, you have to discover, there's no checklist that you can create. Like, here's what you do, just all these things to have a happy, successful life in business. But I realized I just don't like sales. I just don't. I love the techie stuff. So when you're in my position, you're like, okay, so I like the techie stuff. I don't like sales. I can't afford to hire someone to do the sales stuff for me. So that's why I chose content creation and training and things like that. So I just literally train, and then I let that do the sales for me. Now I don't even do demos. I don't do any of that stuff that normally, sales people have to do. But you're so right. It's so important to think about, like, what is it? What are your strengths and what do you enjoy? That's such an important part, because if you enjoy it, you're not going to put it off till tomorrow. You're going to double down. You're going to work really hard to be good at that.
Yeah. And one of the things on this call that I asked Kelsey and a lot of our affiliate team when they kind of scheduled this webinar was like, hey, what is there anything specific agenda wise that I should cover? And one of the things that were recommended by them was making sure we talk about SaaS. So if we have a few minutes, I would love to just share what's working in SaaS right now versus what's not working.
Yeah. Everyone would love to hear that.
Okay, cool. So we realized internally that having a Trojan horse matters a lot. Anybody remember the concept of Trojan horse? It's like the war strategy of everybody's good with that. Okay. So but as an agency, how many of you have a Trojan horse that's relevant? Right? Maybe you have a Trojan horse and you think it's a lead magnet, but maybe there's not a Trojan horse, right? And what I mean by a Trojan horse is a offer that matters a lot to the customer and that's very close to the revenue line of the business. And it's even better if it's quantitative versus qualitative. So let me explain, right? Let's say we decide to launch SaaS. Maybe you have agencies and you want to do both or whatever. Let's say SaaS. And some of you pick, let's say, I'm just giving up an example, reviews, right? Customer reviews. it's a good way to lean in with just reviews by itself, but it's not that close to the revenue line, right? You can't attribute 100 reviews to this many dollars, right? So it's a weak offer, right? What we'll attribute is saying something like, I generated this many leads that equated to $100,000. It's quantitative, right? Of course, we don't want to sell leads, but I'm giving an example. One of the biggest Trojan horses that myself and Chase have seen a lot of agencies do is missed call text back. Okay. And we're running a 5-day challenge right now with it. And what a missed call text back is a feature inside HighLevel that you can simply enable for the end user, that when a missed call happens, an automation fires. Right. So if they have 100 phone calls or 200 phone calls, and you're saying to them that you can help field those phone calls, what would that bring to the table for their business? You can justify saying 100 fielded missed calls equal to $5,000. And for that, you can easily have a package of $200 or $300 or $400, right? So this is an example of a Trojan horse offer that you walk into that's quantifiable and is close to the revenue line. Now, within 14 days to 28 days, that's the expansion window, if you ask me. Until then, don't talk about any other features. You let the Trojan horse kind of ride out and help them get stable in the platform. What most people do is on the onboarding call, they'll talk about everything that HighLevel has to offer, or in your even before that, the sales cycle, like in the initial stages, your marketing, you're talking about 5-6 different features, or maybe even more. What that does to the prospect is they have to make 5-6 different decisions. It's very difficult. They have to be educated and then make a decision. It's not happening unless you're tech oriented. Now, the only place that would work is for affiliate marketing, right? Because you're typically talking to a tech oriented crowd, right? So if like someone like Bridget, who wants to talk to an agency owner, it makes sense for her to talk about all the different features that help an agency, right? But to a small business owner that's a dentist or a restaurant or a chiropractor or a real estate agent, don't overload them with features. What you want to do is have a Trojan horse that touches a revenue line, bring them in through that. And then 14, 15 days later, you're going to have a check-in call with them. During that check-in call, you're going to tell them everything that you can add on top of that Trojan horse, right? So on the Trojan horse, you can say, hey, looks like you don't have a lot of missed calls. How come you don't have enough traffic? How come your phones are not ringing? What else can we do to get the phones to ring? Can I turn on GMB for you? Can I turn on your funnel for you? Can I turn on reviews for you? Ads for you if you don't have any traffic? But you see how you go into the business with the Trojan horse that they understand and then expand later into multiple facets of their business. This is the best strategy when it comes to SaaS. Most people fail because they do the inverted. You know what they do? They lead with 5 features and they have this magnificent Facebook ads that they want to sell them for $3,000 later. That's what they're focused on because they want to make that revenue. But there's a lot of hours behind that Facebook ads package that you're not calculating, right? It's better to sell 5 or 6 SaaS customers versus 1 services. You'd rather sell the products. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's really important. And this is something we're seeing. And by the way, if anybody wants access to the 5-day challenge, I'm happy to provide that to you, Bridget. You can give them access to it. And we have an online course and a Facebook group and everything. But yeah, have a Trojan horse that makes sense for your industry. And then wait for 14 days. Wait for them to like stabilize in your platform. Build that relationship. Because once you have that relationship, it's easier to sell them 5 things at the same time. Right? A lot of us go in selling without the relationship because we know the value of the platform. We know the value of what you're bringing. Forget it. Even if you're not using HighLevel, you know what automations can do for a business. It's beneficial, but they don't see that. They're like, well, Paulson, I'll buy because you're a nice guy. Well, they're buying Paulson. That's not a business, right? And that's what most business owners do in the beginning. They buy the person, not the product or service. Then you have to educate them on what they purchased. But I just wanted to share this Trojan horse method. It's working. Like, we're getting average of $115,000 in recurring revenue annually for agencies with this Trojan horse offer, and we're seeing that everywhere. But I wanted to share that with you because it's not something. This is not something I've ever publicized. By the way, you're not gonna find this inside the regular HighLevel group.
You're so right, because I have a local business as well. And I know everyone here has probably heard me talk about this a million times, but I have a local business as well. And it's literally just my husband. Like, I set up the system and all that. He goes out into it's a lawn and landscaping business. So he goes out and he does his thing, right? But with the missed call text back, he is not techie at all, but he's the biggest fan of that, because when I built the system, I actually built it to not receive phone calls at all. Like, we didn't even want to receive phone calls. So when someone does call us, it actually sends the missed call text back and it says, "So sorry we missed your call. If you'd like to submit a quote, here's the link to our website." And then they can go through the process. Yeah. Before we started doing this, he was always complaining about spam calls, about people calling. And, it's not, if you put yourself in the position of the customer, which is the business owner, he's out in the field, he's got the lawnmower going, he's got his headphones on. When a phone call comes, he has to shut everything down, answer the phone call. He's sweaty and dirty, and he doesn't have a pen and paper to write information down. So it's spam or it's a customer. And so all of that was making his day longer, costing us time and money. So implementing that was like a complete, I cannot even tell you what a game changer that was for him, functionality, when it comes to the actual workflow. And it's so simple to do. It's such a simple thing.
And what's crazy is when we did a 5-day challenge, and there was about 3,000 agencies in it, and we picked agencies that didn't have any customers, by the way. So we targeted agencies with 0 customers, and I basically brought 80-90% of them into 1 or 2 customers, and they're all scheduling 10-15 demos in the first week and everything. It's been pretty interesting to see the data and the analytics behind it. But a lot of people went after the home services industry, and that was a common space. And for you to say, hey, this works for my local business that we're in, that it makes sense. Because if you can imagine a person in a truck or on top of a tree or out in the field, that's probably a good industry, because everybody else has a location. They may have a front desk, or they're tempted to have a secretary of some kind that fields a lot of these phone calls. But it's interesting that it works in the home services space quite a bit. And the other thing is, most failures in SaaS launches happen because the messaging and the marketing is very polluted. Meaning, a lot of us have 5 messages that are very, it's not synchronized. You're talking about 5 different things at the same time. You're talking about reviews, funnels, automations, Facebook ads, and something else. When you go, if I went to your funnel today or your agency website, how many different messages will I get? Well, we should do something about reviews. We should also do something about funnels. We should also do something about ads. Oh, Paulson does consulting too. Oh man, they got automations too. Okay, cool. I'm not going to make a decision. I'm just going to be interested, but I'm not an active buyer. There's a big difference between an interest buyer and an active buyer. And the difference is you going into one lane and saying, this is all we do. This is the first thing, and that's the formula we recommend for all businesses. And find that Trojan horse and become that expert. And if you do that, you can expand on everything. right? You can expand later in a different relationship. And remember, SaaS has almost no churn, right? So these people stay with you for a couple of years. So you're not in no rush to capture this upfront revenue because you know the relationship is going to last, right? And agencies are the opposite. They know clients will cancel in 4 months, so they maximize the amount of packaging and revenue up front, knowing that they're about to cancel. They're built on the churn. Therefore, you have to go do more sales and more sales and more sales because there's a leaky bucket of churn, right? So hopefully this helps some of you. I'm getting some nods of like writing it down and nods. So I think that's good.
I think it's such a good like entry level offer too. When I first started with like agency services, I focused on web design. But it's so hard I wish I had all this knowledge then, because it's so hard to talk to a local business and be like, oh, you need a website or you need to upgrade your website. Here's $2,000 and you don't know me. You've never worked with me. It's just so hard to get that customer. But if I go to an HVAC guy and I'm like, hey, yeah, we have missed call text back. Are you tired of spam? Are you tired of answering the call or missing phone calls? Whatever bucks a month it's like, that's just kind of no brainer to have that low barrier of entry. So yeah, I love the idea and I love the feature as well.
Yeah, and the pricing should be somewhere around 300 to 500. Of course, you can sell this for $49 and $97. We understand that, you understand that. But the problem with those numbers is they're not scalable. Like there is a cost of acquisition in SaaS that climbs in after you get to 10, 15, 20 customers. And at that point, you're going to have to pay $200 to acquire a trial, right? So because those acquisition costs are very high, you're not going to be able to go up in your price later. So you want to start in the 300 to 500 range and have a slower ramp up versus a faster ramp up with not enough revenue. Because like it doesn't make sense for you to sell 100 customers at 50. You're better off selling 10 customers at 500, right? Because you have less to deal with, less tickets to worry about, and then you don't have to then launch a 2.0 or a pro plan just to go up in the right pricing. But the cost of acquisition on SaaS is like easily $200 when you start running paid ads. And because of that, a lot of people misprice themselves. So that's an important piece. You should charge a setup fee and charge around $297 to $500. Of course, you can get HighLevel for $297. We're not asking you to sell HighLevel. That's for agencies. We want you to create Legos and put together whatever it is that you want to build for that industry, right? And that they're not going to survive on HighLevel. We know most small businesses, come in and they churn out. Like they call us back and ask them, hey, who's an agency we should follow that we should hire? Because this is too much stuff for us. And that's usually what happens in a couple of months. So it's not even a concern for us. So I think the pricing matters a lot. And then think about your services. Like today in 2023, we're asking marketing agencies to come in, shut off their services that's humanly powered, and create SaaS product lines that has no fulfillment. So you have less churn and almost no fulfillment. And that allows you to be a technology company versus a service company. And that matters a lot because we're seeing white labeled high-level agencies now being flipped for $5, $7, $8 million on top of HighLevel, completely white labeled. Right, we're seeing exits from SaaS already, and because we see the paperwork coming in, like, oh man, this guy has 4,000 users. Another industry leader wants to buy the 4,000 users, and they're buying the book of business. They know it's HighLevel. They're like, we don't want to spend 3 years building out what Philip built out, or Bridget built out, or Ray built out. They rather just go with whatever they have and pay the $5-6 million, because the other option is to spend 3 years to get to wherever this person's going to be in the next 3 years, right? So it's really happening. That's what I will say. It's not a fancy story anymore. It's actually happening.
So you did mention before I promise I'm going to get you guys with the questions, but
Oh, yeah.
before we get to that, did you want to share, I know you mentioned you want to share something about Facebook ads. I know a lot of people here are running Facebook ads, so I would love to hear your take on that.
So Facebook ads, I think, is a great retargeting method at this point. I'm not a big fan of running it as like a full source on its own, and I'm a big fan of omnipresent paid ads. So like I believe in running YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all at the same time, and Facebook is a great retargeting, especially for SaaS and agency acquisition, and not for your end customers. Your end customers do your standard Google and Facebook, but for you as a company, I think TikTok and YouTube is a great place for you to start. And Facebook is, to me, one of the best retargeting and allows you to create a lot of audience lists and things like that. But remember, what you have organically gets inflamed in paid ads. So if things that you have organically stinks, it's going to stink worse on paid ads. If things are really good with organic and you have a lot of inbound inquiry coming in, regardless of how good or bad your offer is, it's going to be really good on paid ads. So first focus on your organic, and 40% of acquisition is going to come from your paid ads. The other 60 is still organic, even at bigger 7-figure levels. And that's because paid is never dependable, and it's inconsistent. It's very seasonal. Like we can run ads for 3 months straight on $100,000 a month, and then voila, one morning it's just gone because ad account went down or algorithm changed or something about the creative policy changed. So like we don't take paid ads that seriously, especially on acquisition. We look at the organic side. So if you look at our affiliate marketing, that's probably a whole lot stronger than our paid ads, because we know the inconsistency that comes with paid ads. So look at your organic marketing, right? How many business owners are talking about your business today, right? How many offers are presented every single day?
Sorry, mute that.
That person. Oh yeah. Yeah. You want to look at your organic, and honestly, when should you start paid ads? I think if you get to 100 SaaS locations, I think that's a good time to start paid ads. Until then, you can go organic without a big team and get to 100 SaaS location. If you ask me, it's just a matter of organically creating a lot of content, creating the right content, making sure it's going to the right audience and the right platforms, in having an offer. Like if you can iron out your offer to a point where like, yeah, I want to go to Terry because he has the best missed call text back in real estate, right? And if we can get there, if organically people are talking about you at that level, your paid ad's going to be very good. Until then, you're not going to just launch your business because you ran paid ads. You're just going to donate money, honestly. And that's because you're not, one, if you run your own ads, you're not going to be, you have to be extremely unbiased to be able to run ads. I cannot run my own ads. I've ran at least $5-6 million worth of ads in all my agencies combined. But if you ask me to run my own ads, 3:00 in the morning, I'm gonna wake up and turn that bad boy off. 4:00 in the morning, I'm gonna wake up and change the ad creative. 7:00 in the morning, I'm gonna change the funnel. By the time I get to 9:00, we're just gonna do mobile. Like I cannot stay focused because my money is on the line. It's not the same, right? But I would say organic matters a lot more than paid ads, and that's the most important thing that you should know about paid ads.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And in fact, I teach mostly how to get leads without ads, because a lot of times when people first start, they maybe don't have their offer fine-tuned, or they don't have their onboarding fine-tuned. And the last thing you want to do when you have like one client is go run a bunch of paid ads, because even if they're successful, you're going to be so overwhelmed. You're not going to have the processes put in place to even support that kind of traffic. And plus, it's part of the customer journey. It's like if they see your ad somewhere and then they are looking all around the internet and you have no Google My Business, you have no Facebook page, or you have like no YouTube channel, they can't find anything about you. You've kind of just wasted all your money. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and the biggest metric that everybody should focus on is the amount of offers that were presented in a day, right? That's all that matters in business. Like we're at 1:39 p.m. Central. How many offers were presented today for your business? Self-evaluate, right? That could be frightening. To some businesses, that's frightening because maybe no offers were offered today, right? Because if that's the case, let's look at the sales cycle. 45 days is an average sales cycle of SaaS or agency. In 45 days, so today's July 7th. In 45 days, let's say we get to September 7th, right? That'll be 60 days. Let's say we get to August, end of August. End of August, the popcorn's gonna pop then based on your activities today. Right? It's not popping because in August you had a huge glass of Red Bull to start your day on sales. It's not that. It's the sales cycles, the number of sales cycles you're creating. And if any of you have read the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, one of the powerful sales books that ever written, the whole point of the book is to take more at bats, right? They did a whole test on closers that are really good versus closers that are average. The only difference were at bats that were a lot more. The top closers consistently presented an offer every single day. 5-6 offers were presented to new prospects every single day. And then one weekend, you'll see 5-6 customers coming in out of nowhere. And you're going to be kind of confused of why they're coming in out of nowhere. Because at that point, you don't realize the sales tonality you had on a phone call has more confidence. Your energy is more confident when money comes in. And then on top of that, you trust your automations and the fulfillment a little bit more because you've onboarded 2 or 3 customers. You actually believe in this thing at that point. Now you feel comfortable to sell what you can actually fulfill. And that's usually the gap, right? And that's the gap that takes you further. But I think the important thing is paid ads or not, organic or not, how many offers are being presented every single day? Because some of you, even if you did $1,000 in paid ads, doesn't mean leads come in and offers are presented, right? It just might mean a lot more people were reached and a lot more likes happened, a lot more activities happened on social media, but how many offers were presented? Because we got to take them from interest buyers to active buyers. So then you got to look at your messaging and things like that. But yeah. Let's maybe get to a couple of questions before we share more.
Yeah, sure. Anybody have questions?
Yeah, what are you guys working on in launching your businesses? I'm happy to help in that sense.
It's funny you called Terry out though, because he does work in real estate with the missed call text back. So that's funny. Ray, I did see your hand up first.
All right, go ahead, Terry, if you have something.
Oh, I'm gonna have a question. Hey, Paul, once again, thanks a lot for being here. Awesome stuff. Was part of that 5-day challenge and
nice.
definitely gave me a vision in what you shared. So I think my question is, what was your mindset of when you first started, right? Looking at going into where we have here. What was your mindset? What was your thought process of that presenting to that first customer of what you have and getting that breakthrough? When you saw that breakthrough, what was that from the fear factor to, okay, I got this?
Yeah, I think the biggest breakthrough. So first of all, the very beginning, all the coaches that I had at the time made it sound like it was going to be like cakewalk. So that wasn't real. So I had this delusion that it's going to take off, and it wasn't taking off. So I'm like, man, something's wrong with what I'm doing. So you create like these insecurities, right? Like it's like basketball. Everybody's telling you can shoot and you take all the shots and you're missing, but everybody keeps telling you can shoot. So it's like this weird like feeling of like, man, something's wrong in my business. But what I realized is the very first round of customers that I got were organically in person. Like I shook hands I literally walked into businesses and said, hey, I'm starting out my business. I would just like to just share with you what I can do and give me a chance to prove myself. And it was at the time, this is 2014, right? Like there weren't that many marketers that you could meet in person. They were all online, if anything. So like for them to see somebody in person and be like, oh, I can call this guy, I can show up at his house if he doesn't deliver. They had this sense of comfort. And that's what worked for me. And in reality, like, I think honesty is like the best wingman when it comes to sales, right? Like it's okay to tell the business owner and the prospect that you're starting out, you don't have any results, but here's the goal that you're shooting for, right? My very first dentist, this guy out of Louisiana, Greg something, goodness, I can't believe I forgot his last name, Greg something. He did Invisaligns, and he was like, Paulson, I've got this replacement to Invisalign. I'm going to charge $1,500 instead of $5,000. Can you run ads? I'm like, hey, Dr. Greg, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm happy to try this out and see if this will work for you. But I've never done this confidently, and I'm starting my business out. And if it does work, I'm going to make sure I give you 50-60% off of your marketing cost. No problem. But I would love for you to be an advocate of what I do if it does work. Is that a fair exchange? And I did that for the first like 20 people. Matter of fact, even when I got to further established, I was like, oh, we're starting out. Because it sets the right expectation. So Terry, your question is like, how do I start? The start is going to come from honesty and transparency with the prospect, because it's like humans want to know the insecurities and the lack of confidence, because they relate to that in a sense, even though we're all confident. Like, but we relate to the ugly side of humanity because that's the real side. That's the side that we're all building on, right? So I was not afraid to tell my prospect that I may screw this whole thing up, right? And the second big client I had, I remember she was a local cosmetic dentist and $10 million practice. And I felt confident. I was like, okay, I'm gonna charge $3,500 because I got some results, baby. You know, I'm like, I can show for something. And she was like kind of okay with it. She's like, that's kind of, you know, let me just see what you got kind of mentality is what she had. 2 months in, she called me. She's like, Paulson, I just want you to know something. I want you to know that I fly with eagles, and I wasn't sure if you would fly with me. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? You're getting like deep with me. This is like this older lady, 7 years old. She's been practicing for a long time. She's like, Paulson, when you first told me that you're going to charge $3,500 for my marketing, I got scared because nobody has ever offered me numbers like that. I'm used to paying 20, 30 grand a month on marketing. I have a $10 million practice. So at that point, I realized, oh, I could have charged $5,000 for this. I could have charged more. I could have done more. But what I didn't do is study my prospect. There were differences in prospects and different levels of businesses that they're in. If they have employees, they're in a different world because they run W-2 and payroll. They are in a different level of stress versus somebody who just simply works with 1099 contracts. So you need to understand the level of prospects that there are. And that was the second biggest lesson. It's like, first, being transparent. Second, understanding who they are, even in the same industry. Those two things really helped me feel a lot more confident, a lot more flexible. I feel like I got nothing to lose at that point. Until then, you're like burdened about fulfilling this thing. You don't want to sell because you're like, I got to fulfill, right? It's like this weird dance until you feel confident about your brand.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
First, let me say that was one of the first things out of your mouth at the beginning, the confidence level that you have to have. And that's what I'm struggling with. I need the confidence to begin to walk up to somebody and not lie to them. Hey, I'm a beginner. I'm not going to lie to you, but you know, I'll make you an offer like maybe you did a lower rate. But my question is, or one of my 5 or 6 questions I've got here. Go HighLevel has just continued to develop. and continue to develop, and new things are coming out. And to me, that's great, but that's a bright, shiny object I've got to follow, and my head is not down in my development. It's following the new shiny objects. But what are the goals for HighLevel? Where is it going to end? Is it going to get to a plateau and say, okay, we've got everything done? Because you guys are developing things faster than we can absorb them. And that's great. I mean, you're going in different directions, but I mean, that is so cool. And I haven't seen other companies continue to do that. Once they get to a point, they lean back on their laurels, and that's it. That's all there is.
Yeah. The way I like to describe this is this buffet line is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But your plate is just one plate. That's all you need today.
Yeah.
And that buffet line is going to go as far as big as companies like Salesforce, companies like Meta, companies like Google. Like, we've already hit 1 billion plus, right? We're not stopping. There's more engineers being hired every single day. I go to work retreat, meeting people for the first time. I never thought I'll do that. Like, I'm like, man, we're like strangers in a way, right? Like, and that's internal team members. So it's getting bigger and bigger. Doesn't mean any of that stuff applies to you. So like, there's about 28 different types of marketing agencies in today's world, right? The SEO guys don't care about the features that we built for the videography guys. The copywriter people don't care about the e-com people. Like, there's so many different avatars that we're building features for. And I think we average 400 or 500 features, I think now, and it's going to get to more and more and more. And like next month, I'm sure Bridget will be on top of it. Like, everything's going to go AI. Like, there's no end to this. There's not going to ever be an end to it. Your business is your business. Like, you need to figure out what is the one feature that's going to change your business. And that's all that matters. Everything else, to me, is I would leave it up to all the affiliates that I'm associated with, and I'll ask them to tell me what's important and what's not important, because most of them provide a lot of updated information all the time. But to build your business, like, you will go to the hospital if you took everything from that buffet line and ate everything. Like, right. That is actually unhealthy. Similarly, first of all, it's going to take a year to learn HighLevel already without any new features. By the time you feel good about HighLevel, it's going to be 2 years. Yeah. You don't want to wait 2 years to build a business. I think you should take your combo, like your Trojan horse and 4 or 5 things that you're going to expand, and build a book of business for your family. Like, that's what matters. This buffet line is not stopping. Like, we're trying to be the next Salesforce, right? And that is, like, for perspective, Salesforce bought Slack for $28 billion. What is inside Slack? Nothing crazy, right? So imagine the size. We're only at 1 billion today as HighLevel, and we're trying to compete with like a Salesforce, which we're nowhere near. They started in the 90s, took 30 years to build out what it is, but we're trying to be the Salesforce of marketing in the next 20 years. And this thing is not stopping, right? So I would ignore Sean's coming at you video lives if you want to build a real business. And Sean will tell you this as well, right? Like, he will be the first one to tell you. Matter of fact, he was on a webinar 2-3 days ago, and he was on a big rant about how agencies get on a shiny object syndrome. And we like captured it. We have a whole video about it. It's like the total opposite, Sean, that's not coming at you live. It's like, your business is what matters, not the features inside HighLevel, right? And that's the biggest thing. You have to separate. I understand the distractions, but like, you have to separate your mind and say, okay, I'm just going to focus on this feature. That's what my business owners want, and that's all I'm going to provide. Everything else is pending status. Like, everything else doesn't matter. It's not going to build your business.
Great.
Oh,
Thanks.
Terry, I saw your hand up.
Hopefully this is helpful. Like, I've, like this is turning your heads. Michael says, okay.
Yeah.
Paulson, question, and it was just resonate with me now, the posture, right? Of having, when now what will be your, my thought process now? Before it was like, I felt like I was by myself. Now when I'm talking, it's more of, hey, I have a team, right? So you what you're getting with me is the team of handling it from the back end part. So I think, what posture would you say coming in, talking to basically a business owner, what would be your posture of your conversation? Because I remember looking at your fast track series of now, which I do now, when I talk to people, hey, what's your story? Right? Before I go in, tell me your story. Before we get doing what I'm going to share with you, tell me your story. So what is that posture of
my posture hasn't changed. My confidence just elevates, but my posture doesn't change, which I know is a structure of how I would carry the sales conversation. And that's my posture. I know I'm going to talk about the story first, then the numbers, then the conditions, then the decisions. That's what I do for, even enterprise sales or $100 sale. It doesn't change, but my confidence will elevate because now I have results to show. Like let's say 2 months go by, you'll be able to bring up other people's stories and say, hey, let me tell you about Maria, who I worked with just a few months ago, and here's what affected her business based on what we set up for her. Now you have, proof in the pudding. Like, those are things that you're just going to get experience from and confidence from, and that's going to elevate your posture, right? And the other thing is, like, in the beginning, most entrepreneurs make the mistake of operating in the revenue that they're creating right away. So you're going like paycheck to paycheck in a sense. So like every sale is such a desperate sale. You kind of want to have the sale because you want to survive, right? That's not a good way to function in general, right? Like, you're not going to have a strong posture and a strong confidence to your voice, knowing that you need the sale. Right? It's better to know that you have savings, or you have another job, or you have another substitute income while you're launching, versus doing the dumb thing that I did, just quit before my wife says yes. And then I'm like in hot water for like 3 months, and a $200 sale is a big deal, right? So like you can't fake that energy, and they can feel the energy, right? And that's something that you want to pay attention to as well, because that'll change your posture. But here's the thing, like, the confidence should come from the community of HighLevel itself. Like, there's 30,000 agencies there. Average income of a HighLevel agency today is $115,000 a year. That's your confidence. How are they getting there? Find out. Go talk to all the agencies out there. Find out what everybody's doing. I'm not the only expert. And Bridget will probably tell you the same thing. She's not the only expert. There's few different ways to skin the cat, and there's 5 different ways to go to the market. You have to decide what you're going to stand on, what you want to become. Like, like you should have, I'm a big basketball fan. So like, I do a lot of basketball analogies. It's better to be like a really good defender or a really good shooter versus being an all-around player. Like, you're a generalist. You're going to score 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, 5 blocks. That's not that attractive as someone who just gets 25 shots, right? You want to be the specialist. And that's the way you can really climb up and create a better market noise, right? It's easier to create a market noise when you're the expert of one thing versus jack of all trades. If you ask a friend, what do you think Terry does? If they tell you 5 different things, then your noise that you created is multiple places. It's like everybody started thinking I was a dentist. I'm telling you, like on my LinkedIn, marketing agencies would DM me with, like, assuming that I was a dentist. They thought I was a dentist, right? I would have agencies DM me and spam me for dental ads. That's how indoctrinated I went into the lane of being the dentist specialist. Even among dentists, I became the guy you go to for Invisalign. I didn't touch anything else. I would say no to anybody else. For Invisalign, I'm the guy. So I became that guy. And similar agencies do the same thing. They specialize in veneers. They specialize in teeth whitening. Similarly, look at a business like real estate. Okay, cool. There's so many different chapters, so many different areas. pick one lane of it and be that person that is just, I only work on flips. That's all I do. I only work on seller leads. I don't do anything else, and say no to everybody else. Then your fulfillment will just get very clean. It'll turn into an assembly line and you're not even noticing it, right? And it's like a McDonald's method versus you have fine dining, you have bakery, you've got a McDonald's, you got a barbecue pit in the back. That's what a lot of agency fulfillment looks like today, right? So hopefully that helps.
That's so true. So it is 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock your time, Paulson.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. I think we could probably sit here all day and discuss this.
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
You're
Bridget,
welcome to stay if you want to. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, if you're okay with it, I can drop the link for the 5-day challenge.
Sure.
If anybody wants to jump in, it's free. And we are going to charge for it later. And I'll send this over to you. And Bridget, if you want to post it wherever you can.
Sure.
Let me see. And this is for, you have to have a HighLevel account already. So if you're a HighLevel user, you get access to this for free. And Bridget, if you want to take that and bundle it up with your new trials or something, you have the freedom to do that. But basically what we're teaching is people how to get to a Trojan horse offer and launch with the right sales approach and simplify, it's just a simplifiable process. That's what it is. And we also talk about expanding as well. But I appreciate you hosting me, Bridget. Hopefully today's information was helpful. I'm just literally sharing from the heart with no slides. So I enjoy these more than those slides presentations. So appreciate this.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. I definitely think there were probably 1,000 questions that we didn't get to. So I'm so sorry, you guys, but you know how to find Paulson. He's always in the Facebook group.
Of course, yeah.
If you guys, Paulson, you are welcome to hop out whenever you want to. I do want to make sure before everyone else leaves that we do our spin the wheel. So let me make sure to get all of your names in here.
I'm going to hop out because I do have another call, but appreciate you, Bridget. Good to meet everybody and see some familiar faces again. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Thanks.
Okay, guys, we're going to make this quick. I know you guys have plenty of things to do. I just want to make sure that I don't neglect our wheel, because I know lots of you showed up today. All right, so let's see. We have Ray and we have Cynthia. Let me move this over. Sorry, guys, I lost my camera here. So we have, feel free while I do this, what did you guys think? What kind of golden nuggets did you receive today? And, what do you think?
I think awesome. There was very, very some confirmations, some things you shared as well, Bridget. Basically having that vision, that roadmap of where you want to go and having that one thing, and then you don't have to be 100 because HighLevel gives us so much. So having that one thing and then add on. Then the other part that I got out of it is the value. So, my thought process now, hey, this normally would be $29.95, right? But what we're going to do for you is, $4.97 for getting you started. So now I'm letting myself, hey, when I go, my thought process now, let me just revert that. My process now going to somebody, what I'm about to launch in August, before I was thinking, $297, $497. My thought process now, hey, this is gonna be $29.95, $29.97 for when I really go out. But I'm learning this process with you, and I'm gonna give it to you for $4.97 or $3.97, because when I perfect this, it's gonna be $3,000. So now I'm going it with confidence of knowing, hey, start with the couple before saying all these other things come with one. Even though I'm gonna put everything in there, I don't have to do it that way. We're gonna get you this first part, and then, hey, you know what? For bonuses for you starting, I'm gonna click this on and click this on, and click this on. And now that don't put that pressure on me where I'm coming in at 5 different things. They only got this one or two things. knowing I'm gonna give everything in there, but I don't have to dispose that. So it's like under promise, over deliver. So that's what I got out of it.
You know, you could also get them in for something like, let's say you focus on missed call text back and you say, but this month alone, we're also, for the same price, we're going to throw in reputation management. Yep. That type of thing. So now you have two different services that you've just, and you've kind of created that sense of urgency, because then they're like, whoa, missed call text back and reputation management, because that would cost me, maybe they even Google, oh my gosh, that would cost me X amount of dollars, and Terry's willing to do it. Plus, I think, and you know, that's part of in my content strategy, I'm just completely open and honest about things. I'm just completely transparent. But that's so important because it makes you stand out among everyone. It's like, it's hard to trust strangers, but when you're transparent and you're like, look, I'm just starting this business, and because of that, I want to go ahead and give you a discount, and all of those things that we just discussed. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with saying that, and especially when you say, I'm just starting this business, but I am so blessed to have this team of developers that manage all of these tools with years of experience. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to spin the wheel. I want to make sure that I have everyone. So if I do not call your name, please let me know. Ray, Terry, Cynthia, David, Frankie, Maria, Michael, McCall, Philip, Ricky, and Terrence. Did I forget anyone? Okay, so for those of you who are new, whoever wins when we spin the wheel, you get either a free 30-minute private consultation with me, or you get 2 more reseller licenses. So I'm going to go ahead, spin the wheel here. Oh, it was free.
Yay.
That was a close one.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Congrats, Frankie.
Yeah. Frankie, I would
just
you like
came alive.
Would you like the private consultation or the 2 reseller licenses?
Private consultation, please.
Okay, I will send you the link when we're done here. Did anybody else have any questions? I know we kind of went a little long and stuff today, but I do want to make sure that if you had anything else to share, or any questions or anything, that I could help you before we go.
I don't know if it's a help. I'll just jump in. But first of all, that was astounding, because it went right to the core of my lack of focus, and with a million different things I'm trying to learn all at the same time, which then becomes a little disabling. And so that was really good. And the Trojan horse idea, I was wondering if there's a, not being out and going out and handshaking with people that much, I was wondering if there was a way of showing the missed call text back, if there's any like demo of that, or if there's there may be, I just haven't seen it. If you're going to focus in on one thing, and how that might be presented well, if we're going to show it at more of an online, getting in front of other people, maybe through a funnel or something.
Well, what you could do is create your own demo on your website. And you could say, hey, test this out. Click this button to call us, and then just have it set to either a number that is different from your main number if you accept calls, and then just set up that automation that way. You can set it up in the company settings, or you can also set it up as a workflow. That way you could choose the number that you want to. But I think that's a great idea. Just have a button, and you can do that on the button, have them call a number and say, hey, do a demo. So they'd call them. And then when you send that missed call text back, make sure that you say, isn't this cool? And here's the link to sign up if you're ready, or to book a call, or to do whatever your call to action is.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything?
Not a question, but just an observation. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah.
Okay. The the portal, that's exciting to me. I think that's a nice way of softening the SaaS, because again, people just want to know, well, what can I get from it? And so when the portal is built out, they're going to be able to just log in, see their invoices, get an estimate, go to their membership. They don't have to see the whole back office every time. So I'm looking forward to them building that whole thing out. So that's going to be cool.
That's good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I love the way Paulson, first of all, thank you, Bridget. This is just awesome. I'm glad. That's really high value to have him on here. But I love how he brought out the buffet thing, right? He said, this is big buffet. Nobody's going to eat everything on the buffet line. You're going to get what you need, what you desire, what resonates with you, what you have a taste for on your plate, whatever fits on there. And so likewise, I think there's going to be all these different new gadgets and tools that come out. Some of those are going to be essential to you and I, depending on our business. And many of them are not. They're not going to be essential to us. Find the things that complement your business, complement, what you are bringing to the table, and then leave the others, leave the rest for maybe later on, I guess. So that's what I took away from that. So.
Yeah, that's good. Also, I think especially the service-based businesses, not a lot of those people are techie, and a lot of times they don't understand, why do I need SEO? Why do I need a new website? Like, mine's fine. It's there. It's hosted by Google, but whatever, but they definitely understand the missed call text back. Definitely understand that, because that hits a huge pain point that they all have. So it's a good point, Philip. And they definitely understand that. And you're knowing your market, right? You know their problems, you know the pain points. I told you, our local business, why it's so important for us, and they all have the same problem. All of these service-based businesses have the same problem. Anybody else have anything? No. Michael says, is there a Loom video that walks you through text? There are many videos. Let me share with you our knowledge base here. If you go to help, actually in your resource area, it's there as well. Let me share. So inside of your resource area, you can click on knowledge base, or you can just go directly into the knowledge base. So just type in missed call. And then you can see all of the instructions on how to get that set up. It's pretty simple. All right, guys. Anything else? McCall?
Yeah, question. I don't know if it's quick or not. If it's not, we talk later. Is there a quick way for us to add some of the, like you gave us a lot of white label resources and things like that. How would we add those into our, if I want to put that into my courses, for example, into my membership portal? Is that a simple process, or is it kind of detailed?
Are you talking about the white label courses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could do that if you want to.
If I want to customize the thumbnails and redo some things, but
no, all you have to do, I can't remember because I think I just changed that. It used to be individual courses, and now I think it's a whole snapshot. But all you have to do is just click there and then load it into whatever account you want, and then all of those courses are there. So you also can go to let me go inside here. Let me share my screen. You can also get the raw files of the courses. Here, I think is where it's at. Yeah, right here, 85,000 white label content. So you can go to courses, and then when you do that, you'll see the folder that has all of the different courses and the raw files. So there you'll be able to, get like affiliate stuff. Most of the time comes with that, like affiliate resources, the scripts, and a lot of times it'll come with a like email follow-up sequence, and the templates, like the PowerPoint presentations for the videos. All of that, the raw stuff is in that folder there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a really good Q&A. I'm super excited about all the value, because I know I was like stoked about Paulson coming too, because he has such a wide range of experience and knowledge. It's super cool to pick his brain. But you all know how to reach me, and I will see you all Monday, same time, same place. Go make your vision a reality.